I'm sure by now you've all heard of Temu. We've all heard of Temu. So whether for good or bad, Temu has become incredibly popular over the last couple of years. It feels like it's just kind of shot to popularity massively overnight, but it's popular for its ridiculously low prices and huge range of products. I swear they literally sell anything you could possibly ever want, things you didn't even know existed, and a lot of things you definitely don't want as well. Whether it will actually turn up or if it will look anything like the pictures is another story, however. But we've all tried it at some point, right? I feel like we've all dipped our toes, whether it's just downloading the app. But despite the awful app design and rumors that they're stealing your card data or selling your personal information, the low prices and the vast range of interesting products have convinced most of us to at least see what all the fuss is about. Recently though, there have been reports that it's not just your personal information you might be putting at risk when buying products from Temu, but also your health. Many Temu customers are now claiming that they suffered allergic reactions such as rashes, even hives, as well as even more serious health issues after handling products or packages they'd received from Temu. Just like this girl on TikTok who says she got a rash after trying on clothes from Temu, which really makes my skin crawl. Or this person on Reddit who said they got a rash after wearing a pair of shorts from Temu. Again, it just, oh. They even said that they actually washed the shorts first before trying them on, but after a few hours, they started developing this rash. Several people in the comments sympathized with the original poster, saying they had a similar experience when buying clothes on Temu. One commenter said that they had seen a woman who had bought pillows from Temu and had experienced hives from the pillows. She got it all over her shoulders and her neck. It was the first time she ever had hives.
Hello, it's 3 o'clock in the morning here, and why am I not sleeping? I am not sleeping because I bought a pillow from Temu. Do you see this on my neck right here? And back of there? That is a urticaria rash. It is an allergic reaction to something in those pillows. And I ordered a pillow and I've been up itching all night. I thought it was my laundry detergent, so we went and got a different hypoallergenic detergent, washed the pillow in that. The rash is still there, it's very itchy. Be careful what you order from Temu. That's all I can say. Be very, very careful what you order from there.
Another woman named Nancy Evans in Staten Island ordered a DIY balloon arch from Temu. Seems like a lot of work, to be honest with you. That's not really what Temu's known for. But when her daughter began blowing up the balloons, 143 of them, she only got through a few of them before her lips started swelling, as if she was having an allergic reaction. This seemed really strange to Nancy, as her daughter is not allergic to anything as far as she was aware of at the time, and has never had a problem with any other balloons. They weren't sure what could have caused this reaction until Nancy deflated the balloons and looked inside, where she found what she described as a hard, cakey substance. Now, when interviewed by Staten Island Live, she said it wasn't a powder, it was a hard and crusty substance, and it was inside every single balloon. I'm so afraid that it's something toxic. Even when she, her daughter, touched it to throw it away, it had an effect on her. She said at the time that she was actually looking for somewhere to test the balloons, the contents inside the balloons, this crusty thing, so that she could find out exactly what her family was exposed to. But whether testing actually took place or what the results were is unfortunately unknown. Now, of course, stories like this have led to many being really concerned about what exactly is on or in the products that they're buying from Temu. Things like undisclosed harmful chemicals, other materials that are hazardous or could cause an allergic reaction. Common examples of this include like dyes, preservatives, and other additives used in the manufacturing process. However, many others didn't actually have to worry about the reactions that they had from the products that they ordered because they didn't even get that far. Just handling or opening the Temu package alone was enough to trigger an allergic reaction. One girl on TikTok, and this is what inspired this video, says that she bought croc charms, which I love, and a cat harness on Temu, and within minutes of her opening her package, she had broken out in hives all over her body.
What the fuck? WH? Bro.
Now, she went to go and see a medical professional and she was prescribed antihistamines and corticosteroids by her doctor, and luckily the hives eventually went away after a couple of weeks. Now, her experience has actually helped spread awareness of this issue, and it is an issue, as her original TikTok posted about the ordeal has been viewed over 10 million times, with many viewers commenting that they had the exact same experience or similar issues from just handling Temu packages. Now, whether the Temu packages and products were definitely the cause of all these reactions is debatable, particularly as hives can be triggered by a whole list of things, including allergies to food or other substances, insect bites, sunlight, stress, cold and hot temperatures, and even the vibrations from jogging or using a lawnmower. So we're gonna say it's the Temu packages though. But there does seem to be a lot of people who believe that the Temu packages are to blame for the reactions, because they couldn't put it down to anything else basically. And it's not just allergic reactions that people are worried about getting from Temu. Apparently, allegedly, some people are even afraid of getting hand, foot and mouth disease from their bargain products, like the girl in this TikTok.
Putting gloves on BC, someone said they got hands, foot and mouth disease by opening their Temu package. Broken packaging literally smelled like formaldehyde gives you cancer. Doesn't even work.
Now let's move on to talk about heavy metals. TikTok, Reddit, and YouTube are filled with stories like the ones I've just told you about, but although the reactions I've talked about so far are horrible and can be very, very painful, they usually aren't life-threatening. In most cases, hives will clear up within like a couple of weeks, and even hand, foot, and mouth disease, although painful and uncomfortable, usually goes away within 7 to 10 days. However, unfortunately, there might be more serious issues to worry about when it comes to Temu. A Channel 4 Dispatches investigation documentary I talked about recently actually, released earlier this year, has revealed that some of Temu's products contained worryingly high levels of lead and other heavy metals. In the program, investigative journalist Ellie Flynn purchases several different items from Temu, and I believe it included a silver necklace that was £2.17, a gold chain for £2.97, and a children's jacket for £11.09. Ellie then sent these items off to a toxicology lab at the University of Reading for testing to see whether the materials used in them were safe. Lawrence Harwood, a professor of organic chemistry at the university and one of the UK's leading chemists, carried out the test and said that he was very concerned with the results. They are concerning. It turned out that the silver necklace contained 10 times more lead than is legally allowed in the UK. The clasp of the gold chain contained 17 milligrams per kilogram of lead, and the trigger for the clasp contained 26.7 milligrams of lead, both of which far exceed the UK's permissible limits on the amount of lead allowed in products. Now, Professor Harwood said when lead builds up in the body over months or years, even in small amounts, lead can lead to serious problems. Health problems such as reduced sperm count, miscarriage, and stillbirth. Now, the gold chain also had an astonishing 27 times more cadmium than UK laws allow, with prolonged exposure, again, can have some really bad health issues. This time we're talking kidney disease, bone degradation. Even more worrying, the children's jacket wasn't safe from these issues. The test confirmed that the jacket contained 82.5 milligrams per kilograms of antimony in the brown material of the jacket and 33.6 milligrams per kilograms in the leather part of the jacket. Professor Harwood said these are absolutely unacceptable higher levels of antimony. Over a long period of time, this could have very bad effects on the body, in particular the nervous system. Now, antimony is often included in clothes as a flame retardant. Despite being considered one of the most toxic heavy metals, long-term exposure to antimony can cause a wide range of health problems, again, from dermatitis, headaches, shortness of breath, dizziness, abdominal pain, and vomiting. Heavy metals are very tightly regulated here in the UK, and rightly so by the sounds of it, given the wide range of health issues that they can cause. Speaking about the results, Professor Harwood said, "I'm very concerned. Children younger than 6 are particularly vulnerable to lead poisoning, and this could have all sorts of effects on mental development and physical development. In pregnant women, it can cause stillbirth, and it can cause neurological issues in old and young alike. Now, weirdly enough, in response, Temu told Channel 4 that their tests did confirm that some items exceeded acceptable limits for heavy metals, that these had been permanently removed, and that they were working with merchants involved. They also stated, "We aim not just to meet the minimum legal requirements, but to exceed them, and will continue to devote significant resources to improving consumer protection." And while there are many examples of Temu's lack of care when placing their customers in harm's way, it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is always Temu's fault, right? We know that. People have reactions to stuff. And one unfortunate example of this is Chloe Norris, an 11-year-old girl from Kent who suffered horrific burns to her hand, bless her, after using nail glue that she asked her parents to buy her off Temu. Chloe paid for the glue along with an at-home manicure set herself, but got her dad to order it from the site for her. Apparently, Chloe had done her own nails herself at home numerous times, so this wasn't something her parents were overly worried about, and they certainly weren't expecting anything to go this horribly wrong. In an article for The Mirror, Chloe's mum said, "Chloe had applied one nail to one finger whilst I was sitting opposite her, chatting about biscuits." She says the nail glue must have fallen without any of us realizing, as Chloe suddenly said, "Mum, it's burning." We need to talk about nail glue because it burns. The nail glue had spilled all over Chloe's hands and along the length of her little finger as well. Now, Chloe's mum said that she held her hands under the water for 20 minutes, which is a good idea, especially in this situation. After that, it was still burning. The pain had gone a little bit, so they put Savlon on it and kind of called it a day, and Chloe went to bed. The next day, she woke up with blisters on her hands and was still in pain. Now, despite this, Chloe apparently insisted on going to school because she didn't want to lose her 100% attendance record. That's so sweet, bless her. I once had a 100% attendance record in school, and I won an award for it at the end of the year, and I definitely didn't have a 100% attendance, so that was really weird. In the same article for The Mirror, Chloe's mum said, "Chloe went into school, but I received a phone call saying that the blisters had gotten bigger and we needed to pick her up. The blisters were about as long as a packet of chewing gum, and they were filling up like balloons. There was this jelly-like fluid inside. Underneath where it was once skin was just white. It was her nerves. Every layer of her skin had been burnt off." I am going to blur the pictures because they are horrific. But after being taken to the hospital, the doctors popped the blisters for her, basically, and contacted another hospital nearby, which has a specialist reconstructive surgery center. So after 10 days of waiting to see if the burns would heal naturally, the surgeons finally confirmed that Chloe's burns were so deep that she would need a skin graft, all from nail glue. Luckily, the skin grafts were successful, and Chloe's mum has said that her daughter's burns are healing really well. However, she isn't happy with Temu, obviously, at all, and she blames the company for the ordeal, saying, "I just can't get my head around it. The nails and the glue cost less than £1, but that doesn't excuse the damage done." So then, when asked by The Mirror if she'd ever consider shopping at Temu again, she said, "Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I want to know why Temu is selling this product. I don't think the batch had been tested. Chloe is lucky she didn't touch her eyes or her face. I'll avoid all nail glue from now on." She also said that now she wants to raise awareness of the dangers of buying unknown products from discount sites like Temu. And that's understandable. It must have been so painful, such a scary experience for not just Chloe, but her family as well. But it's not completely clear, however, whether this was necessarily Temu's fault, even though it might sound like it is to begin with. A spokesperson for Temu had the following to say about the incident. They say, "Firstly, we wish to express our sincerest sympathies to Chloe and her family. We are deeply saddened by the injury. We were informed of the unfortunate accident by the family and immediately launched an investigation." So the product was a cyanoacrylate-based nail glue. I probably butchered that word. Known for its strong bonding properties, basically. It's a popular item sold by many retailers and e-commerce platforms, primarily for adhering artificial nails, attaching nail tips, nail repair, and nail art. I've got some in my nail stash over there. So while cyanoacrylate, commonly known as super glue, is generally harmless when it comes into contact with the skin, there have been reported cases of burns resulting from its reaction with certain materials such as cotton and wool. When I went through my nail training, I was told at all costs avoid spilling this on anything, essentially. Terrifying. I don't use it. Temu go on to say it's essential to emphasize that we take product safety very seriously, and the product carries specific warnings to keep it out of reach of children, and the merchant provided the necessary certification specification for the product. However, we understand accidents happen, especially in situations where the glue was inadvertently spilled and then touched. Our focus has always been on supporting Chloe and her family during this difficult time. We have extended an offer of 1,500 credits as a goodwill gesture. Why? Nobody wants to buy anything from somewhere that's just causing physical harm. I always find that this whole like, here's a gift voucher thing really weird. So it is possible that the burns were just from the nail glue itself, which may have contained something it shouldn't have. Knowing Temu, possibly more likely that the spilled nail glue came into contact with cotton or wool, or maybe like a tablecloth they had on the table, a towel, furnishings, and the resulting reaction is what caused the burns. That's happened many times before. And whilst I understand and support Chloe's mum's desire to raise awareness of the dangers of buying certain products from Temu and, you know, like Wish and all that other kind of stuff, I think it's important to be open to the possibility that the burns were caused by the chemical reaction between the nail glue and something else, and to raise awareness around that issue, because that is the only warning I personally ever got in my nail training, my nail tech training. Avoid skin with all acrylates, right? Well, the majority of acrylates, but it's relatively harmless when coming in contact with the skin. So yeah, it's something to consider. And the active ingredient in nail glue, if spilled in a large enough quantity onto fabric, as I said, particularly cotton and wool, can create a severe exothermic reaction, causing a thermal burn if it comes into contact with skin. Again, that sounds a little bit more likely. Something Molly in this YouTube video is unfortunately all too aware of.
I got a quite severe burn injury from nail glue. I wanted to go through what happened, how it happened. I've actually had to have an operation because of this injury. I want to raise awareness of how common and also how dangerous nail glue incidents are. Doing my nails like I always do, had the big bottle, took that off, put it down on the side, tipped it. Now I was sat with my legs crossed like this. It fell off the side. All of it fell onto my foot. The minute the nail glue hit my foot, I felt the most intense burn. But while that was happening, there was also sizzling and actual white smoke coming off the sock and my foot. I panicked. Because I panicked, I didn't manage to get the sock off quick enough, which meant that it was on my foot a lot longer than it should have been, and pulling it off then became difficult because of the glue, because the sock was basically incinerated by the nail glue. And now I've later learned the reason that this has happened is because there's a chemical in nail glue that reacts with cotton. I wasn't aware of this.
Molly also suffered third-degree burns just like Chloe, and also ended up needing a skin graft. If enough cyanocrylate comes into contact with cotton or wool, it can produce enough heat to start a fire. It's scary. It's scary, scary stuff. Even scarier that so many people using these products aren't even aware of the possible dangers. So whether or not you think that this is what happened to Chloe, or it's just some issue with the formulation of the Temu nail glue that caused the burns, please, let's just be careful when using your nail glue, or really any super glue in general. To be honest, it's not all that surprising that more and more people are experiencing issues with Temu, like the ones I've talked about today. According to the Better Business Bureau's website, Temu currently has over 2,573 customer complaints lodged against it in the last 3 years, meaning the retailer is not accredited by the agency. But whether it's Temu, Shein, Wish, or other similar sites, the nature of these fast fashion and budget-focused platforms means there's always a risk that products may be made with lower quality or unregulated materials, or that corners may be cut to increase profit. Especially when these sites really do rely on third-party sellers. It's like an open marketplace. So I'm not saying don't use them or don't buy from them. I'm just saying be very careful when and if you do.